Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more current latest news. So there's lots to negotiate on this video today, but I'm going to give you the breaking news in regards to David De Gea. So a lot of reports were emerging out yesterday saying that reportedly, David De Gea has agreed a 6-year contract with Manchester United worth around £117 million, which does equate to around £375,000 a week. So obviously David De Gea is set to become the highest paid goalkeeper in the world, and he will be under contract with Manchester United until 2025 and all that. So this is very good news. Obviously, David De Gea, of course, had made his first appearance on tour yesterday in our 1-0 victory, of course, against Inter Milan. But like I did say, we have been in talks of trying to get David De Gea a new contract, for quite some time. I think we've been in talks of trying to get him a new contract at least for the last 18 or 19 months. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, did say, was it I think prior to the Leeds game, he's very confident, that David De Gea is going to be signing a new deal. He indicated out that David De Gea is closing in on signing a new deal. He just basically said, it's up to David and the club, when they do currently want to announce it and all that. But we do know how imperative, of course, that David De Gea is. Obviously, he's been a long servant here. He has been at Manchester United, 8 years. He has made over 300 odd appearances in all competitions. He potentially, he's the best goalkeeper in the world. And he was pretty bad, last season was David De Gea, and he was making costly mistakes towards the back end of last season, but I do believe that was mainly to do with the contact rule situation. But like I said, David De Gea has won everything here domestically. He has been here since the Alex Ferguson era, so looking like now David De Gea, of course, is going to be signing a new contract. But it reported out about this was it a couple of weeks ago, saying that there had been breakthrough negotiations between David De Gea's agent George Mendes and Manchester United and all that. I thought initially he was going to be signing a 5-year deal at the first, worth around 350 grand a week. But it has turned out now he's reportedly agreed a 6-year contract. It's also coming out from Sky Sports. Sky Sports, most of the time, should I say, is quite reliable, and it's coming from a number of media outlets. So I think it's around. He's set to sign a £375,000 a week contract and all that. But yeah, very delighted about this. Allegedly, we had 300 grand a week for him on the table at the turn of the year. But obviously, this is too insufficient for David De Gea, because for a long time, the club were not willing to meet, his £350,000 a week wage demands. This is the main factor reason, of course, for so long, why we haven't, got him a new contract term and all that. At one point, it was looking like, David De Gea was going to be leaving the club, because obviously he's been linked to Real Madrid for a number of years. Obviously, he's been linked with a £60 million move to PSG. Obviously, I think also, Juventus had been in there for him. But reflecting on David De Gea's performances, he's, won the club's player of the year, 4 times he's out of the last 6 years, and I think he's had 6-7 good years out of the 8 years. He has been at Manchester United, but still 28 years of age. Still got him a lot of years ahead of him. So he's reportedly set to sign a 6-year contract worth around £117 million over this 6-year period, and this does equate to around 375 grand a week. So obviously this is going to make David De Gea the highest paid goalkeeper in the world. So yeah, very happy about that. So just wanted to give you the breaking news on that. I want to give you a bit more additional information in regards to Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon. Now, reports were saying out yesterday, now that reportedly PSG invented the race for Bruno Fernandes. I was reading the Sports Mill yesterday, and they reportedly said Manchester United could, sign Bruno Fernandes next week, so we could reportedly, get a deal over the line. Bruno Fernandes transfer saga, to Manchester United, transfer saga, to Manchester United, does continue to currently persist. We do believe Bruno Fernandes' agent has recently, been in the UK to discuss a potential move to Old Trafford for his current client. So basically, Bruno Fernandes' agent is looking for the best possible deal for his client. But like I did say, for the entirety of the summer, Bruno Fernandes has been linked to move to Manchester United. I do believe Bruno Fernandes has notified his representatives. He has notified his representatives that I think he wants to make the move to Manchester United. So I believe he's turned down Tottenham. I believe he's turned down Liverpool. Obviously, Tottenham and Liverpool, of course, have been interested in Bruno Fernandes. And I do believe, he's been in negotiations with his agent Bruno Fernandes about a potential move to Old Trafford and all that. I do believe, the valuation does seem to be the current stumbling block at the moment, because obviously, Sporting Lisbon are demanding, they want around £70 million. Manchester United, of course, well, of what I saw earlier on this week, Manchester United are not willing to pay £70 million for for Bruno Fernandes. I think we're only willing to pay in the excess around £50 million for the current player. I do believe that, you know, well it said earlier on this week that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not getting backed, you know, for this particular signing, because it did say earlier on this week that the board have actually, you know, got concerns, you know, about, you know, spending quite a bit, you know, an extortionate amount, you know, on a player that's got little experience to the highest level. You know, he hasn't really got the experience to the highest level, and the board do believe, of course, that he is too expensive. Obviously, you know, we have blatantly made it clear we are not willing to overspend on our transfer targets, but I think the situation with Paul Pogba, you know, is not having any effect on, you know, Bruno Fernandes coming to Manchester United, because I still think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is orchestrating, you know, bringing 2 new additions in that midfield, you know, regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba. So Bruno Fernandes move to Manchester United, you know, he's not dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba. So maybe we could still get the deal over the line for him and all that, but reportedly, you know, we're only willing to pay around £50 million for his services. But it did say, you know, sometime this week, it allegedly said earlier on this week, we are preparing, you know, to put our first formal bidding for Bruno Fernandes, because we have not yet made an official bid for the current player. But yeah, I think his agent was in the UK quite a few weeks ago to allegedly, you know, thrash out a deal with Manchester United. Reportedly, if he does complete his move to Manchester United, reportedly, you know, he could get around 100 grand a week and all that. So he did say reportedly, you know, Manchester United, you know, will pay him around what, 5.5 million a year, which obviously, you know, equates to around £100,000 a week and all that. But reports came out about this a few weeks ago saying that reportedly, you know, Manchester United had agreed the personal terms, said the contract term and that had been agreed, but obviously, no fee yet, you know, currently, you know, come to an agreement. And I do believe, you know, that does seem to be the stumbling block at the moment. Initially, Bruno Fernandes' release clause is around £88 million in his contract with Sporting Lisbon, but as you all know, Manchester United are not determined to go anywhere near that figure. Bruno Fernandes signed a 5-year deal with Sporting Lisbon last summer, so he's under contract with them until 2023. Obviously, you know, he's been at Sporting Lisbon a couple of seasons. He's done really, really well with Sporting Lisbon. You know, he can score goals, he can provide, he can create chances. He has proven this in his 2 years with Sporting Lisbon, and I do believe what he's been doing at Sporting Lisbon in his couple of years, he can come to the Premier League, you know, and currently replicate that and all that. But yeah, very, very good player. 31 goals, was it in all competition last season, or was it 32 for Sporting Lisbon? Obviously spent the majority of his career in Italy, you know, when he was currently younger and all that. But yeah, you know, we've been in several talks, you know, with Sporting Lisbon for quite some time. Obviously, he has been one of our main priority targets. I think he's primarily an attacking midfielder, you know, 24 years of age, and as you all know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to recruit young players to Manchester United this summer, you know, that can grow, develop and emulate, of course, into superstars. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, has worked out his transfer strategy for this summer. But like I said, you know, recently Sporting Lisbon's president came out, you know, Federico Fernandes, you know, he basically said, you know, there has been talks with Bruno Fernandes in regards to his future, but Sporting Lisbon have made it clear, you know, they do want around £70 million. So reportedly, you know, we could sign, you know, Bruno Fernandes next week. But like I said, I still believe, you know, we need a couple of new additions in that midfield. Obviously, you know, we spent £65 million so far this summer on 2 players. £65 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka. And obviously, you know, they've both got all the ingredients required, you know, to become huge successes at Manchester United. And we have seen glimpses of Wan-Bissaka and Daniel James of what good signings they've proven to be, you know, so far, because they've started pre-season, you know, really, really well. You know, with Daniel James, I still classify him as a prospect, and I still say that Daniel James, you know, needs time to develop. He's only 21 years of age. You know, Wan-Bissaka, you know, he's been fantastic so far in pre-season. Obviously, you know, Wan-Bissaka, you know, he's going to obviously be our first choice right back, you know, in the Premier League next season. And, you know, I think they've done really, really well at Manchester United so far. And I think we paid a reasonable figure for both players. I think £50 million was reasonable for Wan-Bissaka. I also think £18 million was reasonable for Daniel James, you know, compared to, you know, they are cheaper solutions, you know, compared to what we paid for the likes of, you know, Paul Pogba and Romelu Lukaku, of course, in recent years. But yeah, we spent £65 million so far this summer on 2 players. But obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to want to build on that. And I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, is looking to sign 1 or 2 more players. So I do believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's priorities now will be what he'll want to recommend an experienced centre half in. You know, he wants to add reinforcements in that midfield. I also believe, you know, Manchester United do need right winger. So there's still lots to address in the squad. And basically, you know, we need to revitalise the squad. But like I said, we need more than that Wan-Bissaka. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said, like I said, he's looking to sign one or two more players. There's only 3 weeks now remaining in this current transfer window, so we have got to be more competitive now in this current window and all that. But we need to see vast improvements going on to this season, because last season was disappointing. We finished 6th. We didn't win any silver, and we haven't won any silver in the past couple of seasons. So, like I said, for the last 5 or 6 years, of course, we've been inconsistent. We've been a toxic club and all that. I know. The main factor is why we've been a toxic club, because in the last 5 or 6 years, because we've been mismanaged, and this is the main factor is, of course, why we have been underachieving. Obviously, we've had different managers with different philosophies. But yeah, we have been playing catch up for the last 5 or 6 years. But look at it, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still in the process of rebuilding, because the majority of this squad's not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The only players that are Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's at this present time is, of course, Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and all that. But still, lots needs to be addressed in the squad, as I think you are all currently aware of. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was recently, speaking about our ambitions for next season, and he believes Manchester United, will be aiming for further up than 4th. Maybe a bit sceptical about what he said about that, because I think maybe our expectations going on to this season probably will be to finish in that top 4. I don't think we're good enough yet, to win the league or challenge for the league and all that, because analysing our current squad, it isn't good enough. And I said, regardless of where our manager is, even if we had a manager to the highest level, they would still currently struggle with our squad. But like I did say, we've started pre-season off really, really well. But I think there's growing frustration around Manchester United, in terms of the transfer activity and all that. Because obviously, if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, doesn't get all the players he wants, you can basically say, that the board have definitely let Ole Gunnar Solskjaer down. But yeah, like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer recently spoken about our ambitions for next season. So we need to see vast improvements, of course, going on into this season. But analysing it at the moment, City is strides ahead of us. Obviously, Liverpool strides ahead of us, so it's very imperative, that we catch up here like Manchester City and Liverpool. That's very, very imperative indeed. I know we're not in Champions League football next season, so it is going to be difficult for us to attract players to elite level. It's also going to be hard for us, to convince our imperative players to stay at the football club. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was basically saying, he's, there's been a lot of speculation about players, coming in and players coming out. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is very, very adamant that we don't need to sell players. He did say as well that, we haven't received many bids for our current players, but he did say basically, we're not intending on overspending on our transfer targets. So basically, I think we need to sell players, in my opinion, to help us generate funds and, of course, rebuild the squad. And I think there's quite a few problematic players at Manchester United anywhere, of course, that do currently need to be sold. So yeah, there is still lots of work, to be done in our current squad, and I do believe it's going to take us at least a year or maybe a couple of years, to get us back, to being a competitive elite level football club. And quite a few people have said, we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I do believe, is following a policy that proved successful under Alex Ferguson, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, is following Alex Ferguson's philosophy. But like I said, there's been a lot of players on our agenda. So with Bruno Fernandes, that transfer saga, does continue to persist. I want to give you the latest news about Romelu Lukaku, and I think I did give you the latest news about this on my match reaction. I currently did yesterday after the Inter Milan game, and I give you the latest news about Romelu Lukaku. So obviously we do know Romelu Lukaku, of course, has not played on tour yet. Obviously, he didn't play against Inter Milan yesterday, because obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did say prior to the game that he wasn't fit, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer confirmed, he would not have been playing and all that Lukaku. So obviously that adds more speculation in regards, to Romelu Lukaku's long-term future in that with Manchester United. So reports were emerging out yesterday. It was coming out from the BBC and all that, which is a very reliable source. And Simon Stones, of course, is quite reliable. Reportedly, Inter Milan had put in around a £54 million bid for Romelu Lukaku, but reportedly, Manchester United had turned down this £54 million offer, because obviously, £54 million is too insufficient for Manchester United, because obviously, we're looking for somewhere in the region of around £75 or £80 million. And we've blatantly made this clear to Inter Milan, we basically want 75 or 80 million pounds. Obviously, we're looking to recoup the money that we did pay for Lukaku a couple of years ago from Everton, and maybe we are orchestrating on gaining a little bit of a profit, because we did pay 75 million pounds for Lukaku. Obviously, there were 15 million add-ons included in the deal when we got him, so that did rise up to around 90 million pounds. Obviously, he's our second most expensive signing, and I do believe the club overpaid for Romelu Lukaku, but we do know for the entirety majority of the summer, or most of the summer, you know, he's been linked to a move to Inter Milan. You know, for the majority of the summer, you know, he has been speaking about his proposed move to Inter Milan, because obviously Lukaku has made it clear that he does want to leave Manchester United. Obviously, the other week, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had held talks with Romelu Lukaku, you know, pleading him to stay for one more season. But Solskjaer's obviously held talks, you know, with the vast majority of our players this summer. But he held talks with Lukaku, you know, to try and convince him to remain at the football club for one more season. Lukaku's confirmed, you know, that he does currently want to leave Manchester United, because obviously, you know, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, has been recommended in, obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice preference has been Marcus Rashford, ahead of Romelu Lukaku. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's preference has been Marcus Rashford, and I do believe, you know, Lukaku has increasingly, you know, become frustrated about this, and obviously, you know, Lukaku, you know, is a surplus to requirements Manchester United. But I did say if we sell him, I think it would be beneficial for Manchester United. I think it'll also, you know, be beneficial for the player himself. But yeah, he definitely, you know, wants to make the move to Inter Milan. So reports were saying yesterday that, you know, £54 million bid were put in by Inter Milan, but reportedly, of course, Manchester United have currently, you know, turned this down. Obviously, Antonio Conte has identified, you know, Romelu Lukaku as his number one target. Obviously, you know, reflecting back a couple of years ago when Antonio Conte, you know, was the manager of Chelsea. At that point, he wanted Romelu Lukaku, but obviously, you know, he ended up making the move to Manchester United. But talks have been going on for several weeks, you know, between Inter Milan and Manchester United. You know, reports were emerging out last week, was it? You know, saying that the Inter Milan, you know, director had travelled to London, you know, to hold negotiations with Manchester United. I do believe Inter Milan also put in a 2-year loan offer worth around £9 million up front, with then the obligation to buy for the further £54 million at the end of the loan. But again, Manchester United didn't entertain this offer because we're only willing to let Lukaku, of course, go on a permanent deal. Reports indicated out earlier on, was it this week, saying that, you know, reportedly, you know, Inter Milan are planning to put a new bid in for him, and he reportedly said, you know, they're willing to meet our £75 million valuation, but obviously, of course, Inter Milan, you know, want payments to be structured. So reportedly did say Inter Milan were willing to, you know, spend a guaranteed £60 million over the course of the next 3 years. You know, 40 million of that, you know, paid up front, with the remaining £20 million paid in instalments. And it did say there was also £15 million bonuses included, you know, based on, you know, how Lukaku performs at the San Siro. So obviously, you know, Inter Milan, you know, still want payments to be structured, but reports indicated out, was it I think last month, saying that allegedly Lukaku had agreed to personal terms with Inter Milan. It said he agreed a contract worth around 180 grand a week and all that, but obviously no fee has yet, you know, come to an agreement. But you know, Lukaku, you know, recently described Antonio Conte as one of the best managers in the world. So obviously, you know, he wants to play under his current guidance. I think also Inter Milan try to get rid of Mario Icardi. Inter Milan have been trying to get rid of a couple of their players, you know, to help them generate funds. You know, to me, that 75 or 80 million pound valuation, because I think Inter Milan are under financial fair play restrictions. But yeah, I think Icardi's been heavily linked to move to Juventus. Obviously, you know, I think he's been withdrawn from Inter Milan's squad as Icardi. I think it allegedly said in the media yesterday that Icardi's agreed a 5-year contract with Juventus worth around £7 million plus bonuses included. So maybe Lukaku to Inter Milan, you know, is dependent on, of course, what happens with Mario and Icardi. Obviously, you know, Inter Milan have been obviously, you know, we're unwilling to accept swap deals that Inter Milan have offered us, because obviously they've tried offering us Mario Icardi for Lukaku, they've tried offering us Perisic for Lukaku. I do believe, you know, they've also tried offering us Raja Nainggolan for Lukaku. But I said, based on the extortion amount, you know, we've put on Lukaku, you know, this could be the stumbling block of him, you know, making his proposed move to Inter Milan. But like I said, you know, Lukaku's agent Federico Pastorella has also held a lot of talks over Inter Milan, and you know, he basically said, you know, that Inter Milan, of course, are desperate to sign the player. But yeah, so this is what, you know, basically said. But Lukaku has been at Manchester United, you know, 2 years. He scored 42 goals in 96 games for the club in all competitions. And he's done really, really well. Well, he did well in his first season. He was exceptional in his first season, but, you know, didn't really replicate this form, of course, in his second season. Still got 3 years left on his contract. But you do know I've got strong concerns about Lukaku. And I said, if Lukaku does leave the football club, you know, we are definitely, you know, going to need a replacement for him. And there has been quite a few players on our agenda, you know, who could replace Romelu Lukaku at the football club. You know, I do believe his goal scoring pedigree is fantastic, and I do believe, you know, his pedigree in the Premier League is absolutely fantastic. His Romelu Lukaku's, and he's still only 26 years of age. But if Manchester United do sell him, of course, obviously, you know, we are going to need a replacement for him. So I think now we've turned 2 bids. Is it 2 bids now we've turned down for him? Because they've just offered us 54 million, we've turned it down. They also inquired about getting him on a 2-year loan. But obviously, again, you know, Manchester United had turned this down. But yeah, like I said, there's been quite a few players mentioned, who could replace Lukaku at the football club. Obviously, a lot of reports were emerging out earlier on this week in regards to Patrick-Emerick Aubameyang from Arsenal. It reportedly said, Manchester United had submitted around a £62 million bid for Aubameyang. And I do believe, if I'm aware, that Arsenal, are open to selling Aubameyang, because don't forget, Arsenal have got a tight budget this summer. They've only got around 40 or 45 million pounds to spend. So I do believe Arsenal may want to, need to offload a couple of their essential players, to help them generate funds and of course rebuild their squad. But yeah, it came out about this story. Was it 5 weeks ago? It was actually all stemming from Andy Goldstein, who was a presenter of TalkSport. He initially said, Manchester United are interested in signing Aubameyang. It did allegedly say he had agreed, a transfer to Manchester United. But these reports are stemming from the reports are actually stemming from the Italian press, saying that Manchester United have submitted around the £62 million bidding for Patrick-Emerick Aubameyang. I do believe Arsenal are open to selling, but I do believe they'd want to at least recoup the initial £56 million that they did pay for him from Dortmund, back in January 2018. I do believe he's not going to be signing a new contract with Arsenal, and I think he's got 2 years left on his contract with Arsenal. He's 30 years of age, but I've always liked Aubameyang, especially during his days with Borussia Dortmund. I think there was also talks about him going to China at one point. I think allegedly he'd been offered around 300 grand a week, to go play in the Chinese Super League. But I think Aubameyang, would be a fantastic adequate replacement for Romelu Lukaku. I know he's aging up and all that, but Aubameyang has got that proven, pedigree as playing as a central strike, because he is predominantly a central strike. He can play out wide, so he can play on the left, he can play on the right, so he's versatile. Also, his goal scoring pedigree is absolutely fantastic. He can score goals, he can lead the lines. He's got that endless potential, and I think he would be absolutely the right. I think he would be the right solution for Manchester United with Aubameyang. But he had a very good player indeed. But he did initially say, we was prepared, to spend in the excess around £70 million for his services. Aubameyang, of course, last season scored 31 goals in all competitions for Arsenal. Also, scored 22 goals in 36 games in the Premier League last season. Based on the amount of goals he scored, he won the Golden Boot, and he was the joint top goal scorer alongside Salah and Salah and Sadio Mane and all that, Patrick-Emerick Aubameyang. But I do really like him a lot. But I think he would be a fantastic replacement for Romelu Lukaku. And like I said, if Aubameyang, wants to come in, I think he would sort of, make a similar impact, to as Robin van Persie did, when we signed Robin van Persie, back in 2012. But Manchester United and Arsenal, of course, have done business over the years. But Aubameyang's got around, a year and a half of experience under his belt in the Premier League, because Arsenal did sign Aubameyang back in January 2018 for the club record fee of £56 million. But reports said earlier on this week that Manchester United had put around a £62 million bidding for him. But yeah, very good player indeed. And I think he would bring us them goals that would do Kilton need. But some people have actually said we don't even need, if Lukaku leaves, we don't need a replacement for Lukaku, because we've got the likes of Mason Greenwood. Obviously he's been fantastic so far in pre-season as Mason Greenwood. Obviously he scored 2 goals in his last 2 games in pre-season for Manchester United. And obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has assured Mason Greenwood more first team football going on into this season. He's obviously going to get promoted and that into the first team. Obviously he deserves it, reflecting on his impressive performances last season. Mason Greenwood was fantastic for the reserves last season. I think he scored 30 goals in 29 appearances, and he's only 17 years of age, but he's still inexperienced at the moment. We've got the likes of Chong. He's done really well in pre-season so far, but I think with Chong, he's still inexperienced. You've got the likes of Rashford and Martial. They've both started, pre-season really well. Rashford's done really well so far in pre-season. But like I said, with Rashford and Martial, they're still, not They still have not got to, they have still not emulated to that level yet, and it still could take them a year or even a couple of years, to get them to that level where they do currently want to be. We have got the likes of Daniel James, like I said, he still needs time to develop. But yeah, I think we need a replacement for Lukaku. But there is pace up front. Daniel James has got pace. Mason Greenwood, Rashford, Martial, and all that. They've all got pace. Which is absolutely fantastic. And pace is always very, very essential, and that's something we was lacking last season was pace. We didn't have enough pace up front. was also lacking goals last season, because analysing it last season, we potentially wasn't ruthless enough in front of goal. There's been people talking about Wissam Ben Yedder as a potential replacement for Romelu Lukaku, and based on Wissam Ben Yedder's experience, I think he would be beneficial for Manchester United. there has been there was a lot of talks about Wissam Ben Yedder going on quite a few weeks ago. Wissam Ben Yedder's been at Sevilla quite a few years now, hasn't he? I think he's been there about 3 years. He's under contract with Sevilla until 2021. 28 years of age, can score goals. He's got that proven pedigree as a goal scorer, as Wissam Ben Yedder. But yeah, some people say he'd be a good replacement for Romelu Lukaku. Obviously, some people say Dybala would be a good replacement for Lukaku. Some people say Cardi would be a good replacement for Lukaku. People talked about Moussa Dembele from Lyon. So who would you bring in? Of course, from Lukaku does currently leave the football club. But like I said, I think we need to sell players. And I did say, if we sell Paul Pogba, if we sell Romelu Lukaku, I do believe it will help us with our rebuilding process. It'll definitely help us with our transition and all that, and I think we could generate around £200 million for the departures of Pogba and Lukaku. But for the entirety of the summer, or should I say for the majority of the summer, Paul Pogba and Romelu Lukaku have both been relentlessly linked to a move away from Manchester United. But I do believe, based on the extortionate amounts we've put on both players, this could be the stumbling block of both players leaving Manchester United. I do believe we also need to sell Darmian and Rojo, because with Darmian and Rojo, they've both endured difficult times with Manchester United, mainly with Darmian because he hasn't really been given the chance, and with Rojo, his Manchester United career has been badly affected, the amount of injuries he has currently sustained. With Sanchez, he's not yet played in pre-season. I think he has currently been injured as Alexis Sanchez. Obviously for the majority of this summer, we've been trying to get rid of Alexis Sanchez, but obviously the club have found it very, very difficult to get rid of him. Obviously based on his substantial wages, Manchester United have found it very, very difficult to currently get rid of Alexis Sanchez. I do believe he will continue playing his trade with Manchester United going on into this season. But as you all know, since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival anyway, we have seen 3 players leave the club. Obviously, we saw Valencia leave after 10 years with Manchester United. Obviously, we saw Ander Herrera leave. Obviously, we saw Fellaini leave back in the January transfer window. So in that midfield, we are going to need a replacement for Ander Herrera. But, analysing our midfield, you've got the likes of Matic. He's too slow, too inconsistent and all that. And I've got strong concerns about Matic, and I think he started pre-season really, really poor. You've got the likes of Fred. I thought Fred did really, really well when he came on yesterday in the Inter Milan game. I'm still sceptical about Fred if he is a long-term solution for Manchester United. I do believe we overpaid for Fred. We obviously paid £50 million for him last summer from Shakhtar Donetsk, and so I don't know if he is a long-term solution. He hasn't really replicated what he did at Shakhtar Donetsk. He did well towards the back end of last season, did well when he came on yesterday. So Fred will definitely get more opportunities going on into this season anywhere. You've got McTominay. I think McTominay started pre-season well, and what I said is about pre-season. Pre-season's good, because it gives upcoming players, a bit of more experience under their belt. Obviously, McTominay is still an experienced at the moment, but with pre-season, that's very beneficial because he's going to gain more experience. Obviously, he's going to get more chances as well in the Premier League next season. Is McTominay, which is very, very good. Pereira, he'll also, get more opportunities. But I do believe, we need a couple of new additions in that midfield without a shadow of a doubt. I do believe. There's still actually talks going on about Milinkovic-Savic from Lazio and all that, and I think he's moved to Manchester United. He's dependent on what happens with Paul Pogba. Milinkovic-Savic, reports came out about this the other week. It was actually coming from Sky in Italy, and they were basically saying Manchester United had submitted around £72 million bid for him. I do believe this is too insufficient for Lazio, because I do believe Lazio want somewhere in the region around £90 million. So obviously we're going to have to pay an extortionate amount for the player. Lazio have initially lowered their asking price, because reflecting back last summer when Manchester United were in for him, I do believe Lazio wanted around £108 million, because Manchester United have been linked to him for the past year, so he has been relentlessly linked to move to Manchester United. So reportedly Lazio want around £90 million. But Di Marzio, who's an Italian journalist and quite reliable, he basically said that Manchester United have been in for Milinkovic-Savic. Obviously, maybe he's probably moved to Manchester United depending on what happens with Paul Pogba, because I think we are seeing him as a priority target, to replace Paul Pogba at the football club. I do believe he's primarily central midfielder, so he's mainly box to box. Can he also play as an attacking midfielder? Milinkovic-Savic, I'm not too sure, but I know he's 24 years of age. Of course, he's Serbian. I do believe last summer, I think Manchester United, of course, were scouting him. In the majority of his 4 years there with Lazio, he has proven that he can score goals, he can create chances, his work ethic's good, his tenacity, and that's really, really good. In the last 6 months and all that, for I think in the last 6 months, his performances have been a bit inconsistent. Obviously, he signed a new deal with Lazio last October, so he's in the contract with Lazio until 2023. So he signed this new deal last October and all that. But I think it did confirm that Manchester United have held negotiations with Lazio. I do believe Milinkovic-Savic's agent had come to the UK the other week, so I do believe Manchester United have held talks with his agent over getting a possible deal finalised. But I've watched him play quite a few times. I think he's energetic. He can break up the play, and that can Milinkovic-Savic, but maybe his move to Manchester United is dependent, of course, on what happens with Paul Pogba. So he's one player that's been mentioned who could replace Paul Pogba and that at the football club. Obviously, Sean Longstaff, I do believe now we are set to withdraw our interest in Sean Longstaff. Following the extortionate amount Newcastle are demanding. Well, £50 million this market in this day and age is reasonable, but I think £50 million is actually far too much for a player of Sean Longstaff's calibre and all that. Because Sean Longstaff, you can say, he's still a bit inexperienced at the moment, because he only made his senior debut for Newcastle in December last year. So obviously he has got a bit of experience under his belt. He did well in the second half of last season, and he did thrive under Rafa Benitez's guidance. Archie Ole Gunnar Solskjaer instructed Manchester United to get a transfer prioritised for Sean Longstaff. Obviously we only initially value him from between 18 to 20 million pounds, and Newcastle are demanding more than double that, because Newcastle have said they want in the excess of 50 million pounds. Newcastle have indicated, of course, that he isn't currently for sale. We have not made any official bid yet for Sean Longstaff, even though it did initially say we was orchestrating on putting around the £30 million bidding for him the other week. And obviously, this is going to be too insufficient for Newcastle. But Sky Sports reported the other week anyway, saying that we've held high-level talks with Newcastle about Sean Longstaff, but no official bid has yet been made. I thought we'd initially been given a boost in our pursuit of Sean Longstaff, following the departure of Rafa Benitez. But obviously, that's proven that as obviously, Newcastle, don't currently want to offload the player. Obviously, I think reflecting on his impressive performances towards the back end, in the second half of last season, I think, Sean Longstaff got given a new contract. So he's in the contract with Newcastle until 2022. Obviously, I still believe he's recovering from injury, because he had sustained knee ligament injury back in March. So I do believe, he's still recovering from injury and all that. So he didn't play the last couple of months of last season. Sean Longstaff is primarily central midfielder, so mainly box to box. And so mainly box to box, only 21 years of age, plus he's British, and obviously so far this summer we've signed 2 British players. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, obviously made it clear, he wants to recruit British talents to Manchester United and that this summer. But I think we're set to withdraw our interest, because we're not willing to pay £50 million for Sean Longstaff. He actually began his career with Newcastle. I think he also had loan spells with Kilmarnock and Blackpool, but I think we are now, we have already withdrawn our interest and all that. But like I said, a lot of midfielders on our agenda, there's quite a lot of talks about Saul Niguez quite a few weeks ago, saying that, we was currently aiming for him. So, what midfielders, would you bring to Manchester United? And I do believe, it's Bruno Fernandes that is the priority target. Has it been updating on a regular basis with regards to Paul Pogba? Obviously, we do know that Real Madrid and Juventus, of course, have been heavily linked with move for Paul Pogba. I do believe for quite some time, Paul Pogba's first choice preference has been Real Madrid, and his likely destination, of course, has been Real Madrid. But obviously, we're very adamant that Paul Pogba's not for sale. He did say, would accept a bid in the region of around £150 million. Reports emerged out last week, and actually, saying that we've now risen our asking price up. Now, reportedly, we want in the region of £180 million. Obviously, this is double than what we initially paid for Paul Pogba back in 2016 from Juventus and all that. But I did say, based on the extortionate amount we've put on Paul Pogba, this could be the stumbling block of him, making his proposed move to Real Madrid and, of course, or Juventus and all that. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I think he's doing everything he can, to try and convince Paul Pogba to remain at the football club, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer knows how much an imperative player there that Paul Pogba is. And I think it did say last week that Paul Pogba has revealed he has considered Paul Pogba for the captaincy at Manchester United next season, in a bid, to try and convince him to remain at the football club, despite Paul Pogba's desire, to currently quit Old Trafford. But I think currently Ash Young is our captain at the moment, but I do believe, I do believe Ashley Young is currently our captain at the moment, but I do believe, the captaincy, could be given to Paul Pogba, to try and convince him to remain at the football club. He did initially say as well that we could open contract talks there with Paul Pogba again to try and convince him to remain at the football club, because Paul Pogba at the moment has got 2 years left on his contract with an option to extend by a further year, and I do believe he's on around 290 grand a week, so one of the highest paid players at Manchester United. Also is our most expensive signing, because obviously, as you all know, we paid £89 million to him. But I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer actually says Manchester United can rebuild around Paul Pogba, and he also says that he's told Paul Pogba, because he's spoken to Paul Pogba, Solskjaer, in regards to his long-term future, and he has basically said, Paul Pogba does not need to leave. This is what he said to Pogba, to currently, full his ambitions. But Paul Pogba's blatantly made it clear he wants to leave Manchester United, because reports indicated out last month, was it, saying that, he's seeking for a new challenge and all that. He publicly admitted that he wants to leave Manchester United. He even did say at one point, of course, that Paul Pogba, was even willing to go on strike, to force him move away from Manchester United. But Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, has been in the process of finding Paul Pogba a new club, at least for the last 2 to 3 months, should I say. So for the majority of the entirety of the summer, should I say, Paul Pogba has been, relentlessly, linked to move away from Manchester United. I did say if we sell him, we can definitely generate over £100 million for his departure, and with the money we generate, we can probably get around 2 or 3 players with the money we generate for Paul Pogba's departure. But I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's doing everything he can, to try and convince him to remain at the football club, because like I said, we do know how imperative he is. He's 26 years of age, still in his prime, still got him a lot of years ahead of him. But I did say maybe the couple of main factors is why Paul Pogba wants to leave the club, because maybe he wants to be playing amongst better players, and he feels as though he isn't playing amongst good enough players at Manchester United. Maybe he's frustrated with lack of competitiveness as well at Manchester United. He's Paul Pogba, so maybe he's frustrated that we're not competing, that we're not up there winning a silverware and all that. But we have seen glimpses of Paul Pogba's best form. Paul Pogba started pre-season absolutely fantastic, and he also did well in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first 3 months, when he was interim manager at the club. That's when we mainly, saw the best of Paul Pogba. But I think, he has started, pre-season fantastic as Paul Pogba. But like I did currently say, obviously, I did say, his first choice preference has been Real Madrid as Paul Pogba's, as you all know. But obviously, Real Madrid have made it clear they're not keen on a straight cash payment, so they're not willing to pay £150 million. So I do believe Real Madrid are trying to offload a couple of their players, to help them generate funds, to meet that £150 million valuation. I think Real Madrid are desperate, to include Gareth Bale in their pursuit of Paul Pogba and all that. Obviously, Real Madrid, I think, have spent around £300 million so far this summer on around 5 players. So and I think the vast majority of that money, of course, went on Eden Hazard, if I'm currently right, because I think they got Eden Hazard for around £150 million. But yeah, Real Madrid are definitely still in there for Paul Pogba. Obviously, with Juventus, I do believe they're still currently in there. I said with Juventus, they've done good business. This summer, they got Ronaldo last summer. Should I say they paid I think was it around £100 million for Ronaldo. Obviously, they got Adrian Rabiot. They've just got De Ligt recently. They got Aaron Ramsey. So more than likely, anyway, Juventus would have to offload 1 or 2 of their essential players to fund the move for Paul Pogba, because I don't believe Juventus would be able to afford him outright. Obviously, Paul Pogba did have 4 good years in Turin, and he exceeded expectation levels. Hasn't really replicated what he did in Turin, since he has made the return to Manchester United. But I'd still say in this market, at this day and age, Paul Pogba is worth between 150 or 160 million pounds. But Paul Pogba, has been subject to a lot of transfer speculation, especially last year, based on his poor relationship with Jose Mourinho, because he had a poor relationship with Jose Mourinho. And, obviously, Paul Pogba got one of his best wishes, of course, when Jose Mourinho, of course, left the football club. But Paul Pogba with Manchester United, has won the Europa League and the League Cup. Obviously, that came in his second season, and that with Manchester United. Since he rejoined the club in 2016, he scored 31 goals in 135 games. I think last season his stats were very impressive, because last season, I think he scored around 40, around 16 goals, provided 11 assists in around 47 games in all competitions last season for Manchester United. So I do like Paul Pogba, and I know how much imperative player he is, and you can still say he's arguably one of the best midfielders in the world. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to keep him at the football club. He definitely wants to keep him at the football club because obviously, when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer managed the Manchester United reserve team, he watched some of this team in this day and age, grow and develop. And and of course, one of them was Paul Pogba. So initially, they built a great relationship with Paul Pogba and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But like I said, Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, came out a couple of weeks ago, and he basically said that Paul Pogba is in the process of leaving the club, because obviously, when obviously pre-season began, in his first press conference, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer Solskjaer's first press conference. This was before the Perth Glory game, which was our first game of pre-season. Solskjaer, basically was asked questions about Paul Pogba. So he was peppered with questions. Obviously, he'd been also asked questions about the quotes Paul Pogba's agent Mini Raiola came out with. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer praised Paul Pogba, and he still believes he can convince him to remain at the football club. And so he was praising Paul Pogba, and he's been talking a lot about Paul Pogba recently. I think he's also been talking about Sanchez and all that. But like I said, he's spoken to the vast majority of our players this summer. But like I said, if Paul Pogba leaves, we're going to need a replacement for him. But I think regardless of what happens with Paul Pogba, Solskjaer still wants to add reinforcements in that midfield. But I think Bruno Fernandes is definitely the number one to come in, because he's for the entirety of the summer. Bruno Fernandes been linked to a move to the club, and he has actually said that PSG are now in for him. They've entered the race. Reportedly, we could sign Bruno Fernandes next week. Reportedly, I don't know how much we're willing to offer. I'm willing to pay £70 million. I'm not too sure. But yeah, the Bruno Fernandes transfer side does continue to persist. Obviously, as you all know, Manchester United need a central defender. Obviously, we need someone that can go alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line. I also forgot to mention on my video yesterday that I currently did after the Manchester United Inter Milan game. I didn't even know. I must have missed it. Victor Lindelof went off injured in the game. I think actually currently missed that. But he did go off currently injured in the game, and hopefully his injury is not too severe, because we do know how imperative Victor Lindelof is. I think there's been a lot of speculation quite recently linking him with a move to Barcelona, but I think actually Victor Lindelof has dismissed speculation linking him with a move to Barcelona. But yeah, Victor Lindelof's definitely the right right type of player for Manchester United. I do believe he will flourish at Manchester United, Victor Lindelof, because there was vast improvements in his second season with Manchester United. Last season didn't really settle in his first season, but there was vast improvements in his second season, and I think Victor Lindelof's also going to do really, really well this season. But like I said, we need someone that can go alongside him in our back line, and there's been a lot of central defenders on our current agenda, but we do know, obviously, have identified Harry Maguire as our number one defensive target. But like I said, I think it seems to be Leicester City's valuation that does seem to be the stumbling block of Harry Maguire making his move to Manchester United or Manchester City, because obviously we do know Manchester City have also been linked to Harry Maguire. But like I did say, we haven't had a world-class central defender since we had the likes of Vidic, and of course since we had the likes of Fernandes. But I think Harry Maguire would be the right type of player for Manchester United that can improve us defensively. Obviously, last season we conceded 54 goals in 38 Premier League games, so that just shows the issues we've got defensively. I think we've had issues defensively, for several years. But I think Harry Maguire would be the right solution for Manchester United. But obviously, we've got to pay an extortionate amount for him, because actually, Leicester have basically told Harry Maguire that he can join Manchester United or Manchester City as long as Man United or Man City are willing to pay a world record fee. So Leicester have basically they want at least 80 million pounds. Obviously, we do know so far Liverpool's Virgil van Dijk is the most expensive central defender in world football. Obviously, Liverpool had paid around £75 million for his services, and he's exceeded expectation levels at Liverpool, and he has addressed their defensive deficiencies. And you can't put Harry Maguire in Virgil van Dijk's calibre or level, because Virgil van Dijk, of course, is regarded as one of the best centre halves in the world, or is the best centre half in the world. But I do believe Harry Maguire has blatantly made it clear. He's told Brendan Rodgers, he's also informed his Leicester teammates that he does want to leave Leicester. So he's informed these he wants to basically leave Leicester, but obviously Leicester have said they want at least £80 million. Obviously, reports indicated out last weekend saying that as you all know, allegedly said Manchester United reached an agreement with Leicester. He reportedly said we agreed a world record fee of £80 million. So he said we pay £60 million up front, with £20 million in add-ons and all that, which does potentially rise to £80 million. It did say last Monday that allegedly he was set to undergo a medical with Manchester United, but obviously no fee has come to an agreement yet between Manchester United and Leicester. I do believe Brendan Rodgers has obviously imposed a deadline on potential bids for Harry Maguire. So obviously Brendan Rodgers is aware of our interest, Manchester City's interest. So basically, Brendan Rodgers' overarching view is basically if he says if Manchester United and Manchester City do want to get a deal over the line for Harry Maguire, basically what he's saying is Brendan Rodgers, Manchester United and Manchester City currently have to hurry up and do business and all that. But basically the main factor reason why Leicester have up pricing demanding an extortionate amount, because obviously Leicester don't want to lose him. This is why they're demanding an extortionate amount. This is why, of course, they have priced him out of the transfer market, because Leicester, of course, do know how much imperative a player he is. But of course, Harry Maguire does want to currently leave because obviously he wants to rejuvenate his career, he wants to take his footballing career to the next level. Obviously, I think Harry Maguire has demanded that he wants to become the captain if he does make his move to Manchester United as well. And I think it would be fantastic, to become captain, because I think he would show great leadership in that back line. But yeah, we've already had a £70 million bid turned down for him. Obviously, that got reported out from Sky Sports quite a few weeks back now. We've had a £70 million bid turned down for him, but talks have been ongoing for several weeks, between Manchester United and Leicester. Also, Manchester City have held several talks over Leicester. I do believe Harry Maguire's, first choice preference is actually, Manchester City over Manchester United and all that. And reflecting back, was it 3 weeks ago, it was looking at the City were going to get him and all that. Obviously, City are seeing him as a replacement for Vincent Kompany. And yeah, well, at one point it was looking like the City were going to get him, but City are not willing to pay what Leicester are demanding. I do believe we're willing to pay more than City, but none of us obviously willing to pay what Leicester are demanding. I think City are only willing to pay around 60 million or 65 million. We're willing to pay, I think, about 70 or 75 million pounds, but we are reluctant, to pay any more than 75 million pounds for Harry Maguire. But like I said, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has identified him as his number one defensive target. 26 years of age, so still got him a lot of years ahead of him. But for me, I think Harry Maguire's distribution's good. I think he holds his line really, really well. I think he's very, very good in the air. His pass success is good. His stability is really, really good. I don't think I don't think he's really fast, but I don't think that's an issue now. That's an issue for Manchester United, because obviously it's beneficial for us because he's well Premier League proven. He's also very, very tall. I think for Leicester, he's made 76 appearances in all competitions. Obviously, 69 of those appearances have come in the Premier League. Obviously, he signed a long-term contract with Leicester last summer, so he's under contract with them until 2023. Leicester paid around £17 million for him from Hull, back in 2017, because he did serve a couple of years with Hull. So he's actually played under Mike Phelan's guidance as Harry Maguire, because obviously, Mike Phelan had a short tenure as Hull City manager, so he's managed Harry Maguire. So maybe Mike Phelan's keen on reuniting with the player. I think we was also in for Harry Maguire, when he was young, when he was at Sheffield United, because he initially began his career at Sheffield United. I do believe wasn't we in for him under the David Moyes era, if I'm right. I think Alex Ferguson's had his say, has had his opinion on Harry Maguire, and I think he's instructed Manchester United, of course, to work signing. But I do believe he will blend in alongside Victor Lindelof in our backline fantastically well. But we've identified him as our number one defensive target. Obviously, I don't think we're going to get anyone cheaper than Harry Maguire, in that central defensive area anywhere, because you've got the likes of Koulibaly. Obviously, I'd say he's out of the equation, because obviously, Napoli are reluctant to offload him, and obviously, Koulibaly is going to cost more than Harry Maguire. With Delay, obviously, he's out of the equation, because obviously, he's gone to Juventus. There's been so many central defenders on our agenda, but obviously we need a world-class central defender. I think last summer, we was prepared to spend £100 million on a central defender. Obviously, we was in for Rafael Varane at one point, but obviously now he's staying with Real Madrid. But yeah, like I said, there's been so many central defenders on our agenda. There's still people talking about Toby Alderweireld, but obviously, Toby Alderweireld is obviously now not coming. But yeah, there has been a hell of a lot of talks about central defenders coming in. I think we need at least one. Even some people have said we need two central defenders. But like I did say, hopefully Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can hopefully get Manchester United back to glory and all that. And like I said, regardless to our managers, no one's going to ever follow Alex Ferguson's legacy, or we're never going to achieve what we achieved under Alex Ferguson, for 20 odd years of success. But like I did say, I'm still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I hope to say he's the right man that can, get back Manchester United, back to a success and all that, get us back up there competing and winning silverware, because like I said, we've been playing catch up for the last 5 or 6 years, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance for 11 years, because he was a great player for 11 years, was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he has got a bit of experience as a manager, proving himself as interim manager in his first 3 months at the club. Really, really well. He won a couple of Norwegian titles there with Molded, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So, he has proven himself in aspects. He hasn't really got the experience of managers to the highest level, but, like I said, hopefully he can get the signings that he wants before this current window shuts, because if he doesn't get all the signings he wants, like I said, the board have let him down. But we haven't been consistent, and, we haven't been competitive enough in the last couple of windows. We didn't get anyone in January. Obviously, we didn't get our number one targets last summer. But yeah, still lots needs to be addressed in the squad. But the main part of this video was to give you the update about David De Gea. Reportedly he's agreed a 6-year contract, which is very, very good, worth around 117 million, which equates to around 375 grand a week. That's very, very good news. Give you the news about, Bruno Fernandes. We could sign him next week, reportedly, and we are preparing to put our first formal offer in for him. And I wanted to give you also the latest news about Lukaku. Reportedly, Inter Milan put a £54 million bidding for him, but of course this has been rejected. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.